Imagine you're in a job interview, and the interviewer asks, "What does success mean to you?" It sounds simple. There's no right or wrong answer, right? But then you say, "Success means earning a high salary," or "Success means getting promoted quickly." Neither answer is necessarily wrong, but the interviewer may hear something you didn't mean to say.
Like what?
They may start wondering, what happens if we can't promote this person quickly? Will they lose motivation? Are they only interested in personal rewards?
So they're not just asking about my definition of success.
Exactly. Your answer can reveal what motivates you, how you measure progress, and what kind of employee you may become. And that's where many candidates get stuck. They either give an answer that's too personal or something so safe that it says almost nothing.
So what should a strong answer show?
That's exactly what we're going to break down today. And by the end, you'll have a simple framework to build an answer that sounds personal, professional, and believable.
Okay, let's find out what the interviewer is really listening for.
Tom, let me ask you something. Imagine you've been working in a new job for 6 months. Nobody gives you a promotion. You don't receive an award. Your job title is exactly the same. Would you say you're successful?
I'm not sure. I guess I would need to know what happened during those 6 months.
Right. And that is where this interview question becomes interesting. When someone asks, "What does success mean to you?" they're asking you to reveal your personal scoreboard.
Personal scoreboard?
Think about a scoreboard in sports. It tells you whether you're winning. At work, people also have a scoreboard, even if they've never thought about it that way. One person may think, "I'm successful when people notice my work." Another may think, "I'm successful when I have more responsibility." Someone else may say, "I know I'm doing well when people can depend on me." These are very different ways of measuring success.
And the interviewer wants to know which one I use.
Exactly, because your scoreboard affects your decisions. Let's say two employees complete the same project. The first employee says, "My manager didn't praise me, so I don't feel successful." The second says, "The project finished on time, the client was satisfied, and I handled something I couldn't handle 6 months ago. That was a successful project for me." Same workplace, same project, very different definition of success.
Now I see why this question matters.
Right. And here is where candidates often make the answer too narrow. Imagine saying, "Success means being number one." It sounds competitive, but now the interviewer has to wonder, what happens when you're part of a team where somebody else gets the credit? What happens when your best work is behind the scenes? What happens when doing the right thing doesn't make you number one?
So the problem isn't that competition is bad.
Correct. The problem is making your definition depend on one condition. The same is true with job titles. Suppose someone says, "I'll know I'm successful when I become a manager." Okay, but what about the 3 years before that? Do they count? What about becoming the person your manager trusts with an important client? What about solving a problem that used to require help? What about training a new colleague because you now understand the job well? Those moments may not change your title, but they tell you something important. Your level of responsibility has changed.
That feels much more practical than saying success means growth.
Yeah, and this is where the interviewer's perspective becomes different from what many candidates expect. They're not necessarily judging whether your definition matches theirs word for word. They're listening for whether your definition can actually guide your behavior at work. Can you recognize progress without needing constant praise? Can you care about the quality of your work even when nobody's watching? Can you set standards for yourself instead of waiting for someone else to tell you that you're doing well?
So a strong answer should give the interviewer some evidence of what success looks like to me.
Yes. Instead of saying, "Success means reaching my goals," ask yourself, What would I actually see if I were succeeding in this job? Maybe you can handle responsibilities with less supervision. Maybe customers start asking for you because they trust you. Maybe your manager gives you more difficult assignments. Maybe your team knows they can rely on you when something goes wrong. Now your definition is no longer an inspirational quote. It becomes something real.
I like that. It also sounds more personal because different people will choose different signs.
Exactly. And that's the goal. You don't need the most impressive definition of success. You need one that sounds like it belongs to you and one that makes sense in the workplace. So before you prepare your answer, forget the question, what is the best definition of success? Replace it with, what tells me that I'm doing meaningful work and doing it well? Once you can answer that, you have something much stronger than a definition. You have your own measure of success.
Okay, so now that I know what my scoreboard is, how do I turn it into an interview answer without making it too long?
That's exactly what we'll build next. Now, let's turn your definition into an answer that actually sounds like you. Start with one question. At the end of a good working day, what would make me think that was worth doing?
That's very different from asking, what career goal do I want?
Exactly. Maybe you work in customer service and a difficult customer leaves the conversation feeling understood. You could say, for me, success means knowing that my work made someone's experience better. Or imagine you work in administration. You notice that the team keeps losing time because information is stored in different places. You create a simpler system, and suddenly people can find what they need much faster. Then success might mean, I feel successful when something works better because of what I did.
Those answers sound much more real.
Because they give success a visible result. But there's one more layer. Ask yourself, why does that result matter to me? Maybe you enjoy making complicated things easier. Maybe you like seeing a customer leave satisfied. Maybe you enjoy finishing something difficult and knowing you handled it well. Now, listen to this full answer. For me, success means being able to look back at my work and see that it made a real difference. That could mean improving a process, helping a customer have a better experience, or completing a difficult project well. I don't think success has to be one big career moment. For me, it's knowing that the work I'm doing has a clear purpose and that I can see the difference it makes.
So instead of trying to sound ambitious, I'm showing what makes my work meaningful.
Right. A memorable answer doesn't need a bigger definition. It needs a definition that could only come from you.
And next, let's see how 3 different candidates can answer the same question and leave 3 completely different impressions.
Before the role play, let's compare 3 candidates answering the exact same question. What does success mean to you? Candidate 1. Success means being better than everyone else and becoming the top performer.
Very confident.
Yes, but the interviewer may wonder, can this person still feel successful when someone else performs better? Now, candidate 2. Success means being happy and enjoying what I do.
That sounds positive.
It does, but it leaves an important question unanswered. What does this person actually expect from their own work? Now listen to candidate 3. For me, success is when I can point to something and say, I helped make that better. It could be a smoother process, a satisfied customer, or a project that turned out well.
That answer feels different.
Because we can see what success looks like to that person. Here's the key. The interviewer doesn't need the most impressive definition. They need to understand what makes you feel your work was worth doing. So don't borrow someone else's definition of success. Give success a meaning that connects naturally to how you actually work.
We've talked about your experience. I'd like to learn a little more about how you think. What does success mean to you?
For me, success means being able to look at my work and see that something is better because I was involved. It doesn't always have to be a big achievement. Sometimes it's improving a process, completing a difficult project well, or making things easier for the people I work with.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. In my previous job, our team spent a lot of time answering the same customer questions. I noticed that the information we gave customers wasn't always clear, so I organized the most common questions into a simple guide. After that, customers could find answers more easily, and our team spent less time repeating the same information.
So, would you consider that a success?
Definitely. It wasn't a major project, and I didn't receive an award for it, but I could see a clear difference between before and after. That matters to me.
Has your idea of success always been the same?
Not really. Earlier in my career, I connected success more with recognition. Now, I pay more attention to whether the work itself has a useful outcome.
That's an interesting perspective. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
So today we learned that what does success mean to you isn't a question that needs a perfect definition.
And success doesn't have to mean a promotion, an award, or one huge achievement.
Exactly. Think about your own personal scoreboard. Ask yourself, what tells me that the work I'm doing is worth doing? Maybe it's seeing a customer leave with a better experience. Maybe it's fixing something that wasn't working well. Or maybe it's finishing a difficult task and being proud of the result.
The best answer is one that sounds like your definition, not something copied from the internet.
Right. Now it's your turn. What does success mean to you? Write 1 or 2 sentences in the comments and practice answering in English. And if you want to feel more prepared for your next job interview, subscribe to Focus English with CC.
Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
See you next time.